Surface waters, rivers, streams, and lakes. Today we're going to talk about the RLC, the Colorado River, urbanization and channelization of streams, stream channels, surface water pollution. The surface water are part of the natural hydrologic cycle, right? We have precipitation falls onto the Earth's surface. That water is going to flow down into our ocean basins, recharging those. We have some infiltration to the groundwater. We have evaporation back up into the atmosphere. We have just the water of the continental biosphere. So integral part of the natural hydrologic cycle. But our surface waters these days are part of the unnatural environment as well. If we take humans and make them the unnatural part, right? So we've tapped into our surface waters for irrigation. We dam them up to make hydroelectricity. We pollute our waters. So there is a part of the surface waters that we would really consider it being like an unnatural part of the environment. All right, the RLC. We were going to watch a video on this, but that's okay. There's lots of resources online if you want to check more about the RLC. So this is what environmentalists would really call one of the greatest man-made environmental disasters. And the RLC, it borders Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Both of these have been in and out of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union to the south and east, that was part of the Soviet Union, and they decided that they were going to be the cotton farmers of the world. They had all this land, they had lots of water, but they needed to irrigate. So they diverted water away from the RLC. So in here, they diverted the water away from the RLC, and I'll show a map in a second. And essentially, it ended up draining the RLC down to 10% of its original size. The communities in that area were big fishing communities, and they've lost that resource. Many other things have happened other than losing the fishing resources, but that was a big one. So here's an image. There's lots of images online you can find about the RLC. On the left is 1989, and on the right is 2008. You can see, like, it's not that long ago. 1989 was not that long ago that the RLC had lots of water in it. They have rehabilitated the northern part of the RLC. So these irrigation projects pulled the water off. They rehabilitated the northern part of the sea by putting in dams very recently. But out on the landscape, you'll see these old ships. These were from the fishing industry. But that whole area was kind of sustained by the RLC. So there's lots of images you can find online of ships just abandoned out in what's essentially a desert environment. So what is the big deal? Let's see if I can make myself smaller. I don't think I can. Sorry. Scoop myself here. It's kind of similar, remember, to the Salton Sea. The salt concentration has tripled. That killed off the fish. The water table just underneath the whole area has dropped, so they've had to drill deeper and deeper just to find fresh water. The soil in the areas are becoming salty, or it became salty. And then the dust storms. Remember from the Salton Sea, dust is a big deal. Those lacustrine lake sediments are getting picked up by the wind and sailing away, covering crops, the towns, the people. There's lots of lung issues in that area. There's also pesticides and fertilizers in that dust. There's also, in the middle of the Salton Sea, there was, the Soviet Union had a weapons testing facility for anthrax. So there's like an island in the middle of the sea that's now exposed, and when the wind blows, anthrax actually gets picked up. So I have a link later in the presentation here for all about the anthrax island. The population then became really poor, and they got very sick. Lots of diseases like tuberculosis, and yeah. So so this last part, I don't know if you can see it. There's my picture out the way. The northern part, they put in like an 8-mile long dam. And they have knocked the salinity down. Fish are they've been able to get fish to live in the water again. and it's really helped that area. One of the things you get from such a large body of water is it moderates the climate. So it made it so it wasn't too hot and not too cold, but with the water gone, it got hotter and colder. And they're seeing, like, as they're bringing back the northern part of the sea, that it's helping out with the climate as well. So here's a picture of the dust. The RLC is up here. The northern part is what they've really been working on. And then when the wind blows, though, they get big dust storms. So here is a map of that area. And, it's a little bit off the, let me see if I can change the size here. Nope. Go back to the original PowerPoint presentation. This is check these out and click on these links. The RLC, this is a really good presentation about the RLC. And then this is a kind of an addendum that is about the island with the anthrax. So in the slide here, though, the size of the blue streaks, those are the rivers, and the size is kind of representing the discharge of those streams. And then all the red coming off is irrigation canals. They irrigated the desert. The problem was they're irrigating a sandy desert, so the efficiency of the system was really lousy, and they lost a lot of the water. So it worked in some places and didn't in others to essentially irrigate the desert with this river water. And it's kind of a failed experiment, right, in the desert, but it really affected many, many, many lives. So Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan really suffered a lot from those projects.